All right, this is capturing what is demonic, and this is also capturing what is criminal presence by the state lacking any warrant. The state is practicing satanic methods of targeting and stalking in the specific environment. Engineered light is key to what is the placement under surveillance, monitoring with communication devices, and presence in the path. That is the group stalking behavior by the state. This is through what are closed blinds, and this is while the light source is outside of the living room window. It's 8:41 a.m. And even on April 6, 2022, actually, I will remind you of, this is the concentrated light. Okay, so this is entirely, like I said, this is the pattern of conduct. You're looking at what are layers. Those are the pattern of the blinds. All right, the thread that holds it together, and then that's the blind slats. And you can see my shadow. This is engineered light that's being shot up here. This is an admission to the government that's engaging in the pattern of conduct, which is satanic. This of what is terrorism, and everybody that lives at Alvarado Gardens, this is the entity that is maintaining constructive presence absent any warrant or probable cause, where the government is placing you under surveillance, stalking in the path, placing you under surveillance with the maintenance of this engineered light in the private space. And I want you to see the light source, because this is the false illusion. So you're looking everything that's covering the grounds outside the property, everywhere the people are driving and walking around and living, okay, working, whatever they're doing in the engineered environment, it's criminal presence. And the people of the state is the state. They're in the shoes of the state, and there is no warrant or probable cause to place an American citizen under surveillance. I want you to see the light source right here while you're remembering that light activity on my ceiling, that illuminated light. And the entity is doing nothing other than cycling engineered light at 8:37 a.m. on April 6, 2022. I will upload that video of where I'm at, speaking to an ongoing vivid illustration. 8:37 a.m. to 8:41, 38, 39, 40, 41. That's a 4-minute difference. And that's just a vivid illustration. This goes without saying. I am giving for the ordinary person, for you to understand the level of detail of evidence that exists to what is an entirely impossible environment. But you know that on its surface, there is nothing that would ever create that light activity on my ceiling. This is an entity that's placing me under surveillance, that is stalking in this environment, and it's directly connected to the fact that you have peculiar light. That's terrorism to the ordinary target individual. It's terrorism to me as well, but I'm documenting it, and I'm gonna prosecute to it, because the entity is following me everywhere that I go, while they're also following with these demonic methods of light. And that's why you have the P.O.C., because I started to document the government that was following me everywhere that I go, in doing so in an unnatural environment, and doing so while through the maintenance of literally the environment on a massive scale. None of this is sunlight. That's not sunlight on my ceiling in my bedroom. This is not sunlight that's on the floor. It's also not sunlight that remains here. You're talking about 6 hours. The light source is still here over, and that's as of documentation yesterday. So you're holding the entity accountable for what it's engaging in. This is not the natural environment. It's an admission. It's open exposure to what a government is practicing, not only criminal surveillance, but they're demons in the position of the government placing an American citizen under surveillance. That documentation is going toward the prosecution for terrorism. This unlawful presence is speaking to, the entity is maintaining constructive presence above my person while I am in my private space. That's the admission as engaging to the sex offense. The entity has no warrant, no probable cause, no constitutional basis whatsoever to place you under surveillance in concert with the people of the state. So let me be clear, practically playing this out in federal court. The state is present via third-party group stalker who lives at Alvarado Gardens in apartment 1806, apartment number 5. This is criminal presence on behalf of that entity while they are living in relevant position. This is the malicious working of that criminal system, while they are also maintaining presence that is not coincidentally achieving criminal monitoring. This is a system that you're also witnessing through the very behavior of the people of the state. And again, while you see that light activity, everybody at Alvarado Gardens is going to federal prison. Everybody. All 59 units are maintained by third-party group stalkers. And this is an unprecedented and intolerable level of criminal facilitation of that pattern of conduct. And I'll remind you, at 8:37 a.m., where I was on April 6, 2022, also speaking to what is impossible light activity, under all circumstances, by the way, because the sun does not create this light activity inside of your apartment. You just have not been paying attention. The sun that is above us is not adjacent. It's not a low hovering object like you see this light source as. The entity flies directly next to the sun. All right, the sun's supposedly a gaseous ball of fire. The entity's hovering light source sits right on top of buildings and literally, and not only that, it remains all day long. None of this is characteristic of the natural environment. And so the sun would be above us, shooting light in a downward trajectory, not hitting surfaces, and then those surfaces laying flat on the interior of the of any building. That's the engineered light. The engineered light that is also on the outside when it hits the windows, as you've seen, the shape of the windows on the side of the building. That's a method of touching the surfaces with engineered light. That is impossible light activity. You also have the magnification through closed blinds where you can see leaves blowing. That's entirely, none of this is sunlight. This is revealing what is a demonic system, and it's supposed to hide amongst what you are assuming is the natural environment, and it is in every regard absolutely impossible. Also, while I've documented what is the maintenance of this fake environment, while I'm in an entirely different region. And so one or the other is going to be true, because it's not true at the same time, all right? But you are also able to reason even further than that, even when you isolate the universe. While I'm in San Bernardino County and while I'm in Los Angeles County, neither are the natural environment, while the entity is maintaining this zenith presence over my head everywhere that I go. And the so-called sunlight is also observed maintaining some unnatural and impossible characteristics, such as slapping itself on the ceiling of my bedroom, illuminated light. Okay, this is POC, and I will upload that documentation up to the Google Drive so that you can see what is, again, that's my shadow that's appearing at a distance on the ceiling inside, and this is the illuminated light. All right, this is the evidence that is speaking to disbanding the Los Angeles Police Department, engaging in the ongoing admission against the people of the state. That's the legal affect of their stalking conduct in the specific environment, or they're stalking in the path, engaging in surveillance using helicopters, engaging in the demonic system of criminal monitoring, whereby they're participating in the criminal elements of light activity, audible activity, and relevant positioning. And they're doing so in concert with the people of the state who live specifically I'm focusing on Alvarado Gardens, everybody here, and that's going to be how you're going to prosecute an entity that's placing an American citizen under surveillance, for example, where they live or where they work, wherever it is that they remain. They might live in a hotel room. The entity will surround with that specific environment, as I've documented at Economy Inn, for example, Mayfair Inn, for example, the sun rising and the sun setting at that hotel. That's impossible. And I've just given you examples as of late. There's a whole body of evidence expending what are years, speaking to what is impossible, and it's the ongoing criminal presence of a government that does not have any warrant or probable cause or constitutional basis to place you under surveillance directly, stalking in police, fire, and ambulance and helicopters, nor vicariously through the people of the state who are maintaining 24-hour ceaseless presence and facilitating behavior in the engineered light. Okay, this is again 8:48 a.m. This is POC.